The next chapter is the spread of communism. So, in this chapter, after the World War II, communism once largely contained to the Soviet Union began spreading globally. The expansion was influenced by the ideological competition of the Cold War, in which the Soviet Union promoted communism while the United States and its allies promoted capitalism. Um, the capitalism and the liberal democracy. This global divide shaped the politics and alliances of the second half of the 20th century. So, in the first slide, the communism in China. So, communism gained major foothold in Asia when the Chinese Communist Party (CCP), led by Mao Zedong, triumphed over the nationalists in the Chinese Civil War in 1949. The People's Republic of China (PRC) was established. Mao regime adopted centralized planning and launched its first five-year plan in 1953, modeled after the Soviet Union's industrialization strategy. The Soviet advisors helped with over 150 development projects, signaling close ties between the USSR and China during the period. So in the next slide, the Korean War. In 1950 to 1953 was the first armed conflict of the Cold War and a key moment in the spread of communism. North Korea under Kim Il-sung sought to reunify the peninsula under the communist rule and invaded South China, entered the war to support North Korea while the US led UN forces to aid South Korea. The war ended in a stalemate, but it solidified the division of the peninsula and entrenched communism in the north. So in the next slide, the Vietnam and the communism. So Vietnam once a French colony, gained independence after the World War II. However, it became a Cold War battleground. Ho Chi Minh led communist North Vietnam, from China, um, receiving support from China and the Soviet Union, while the United States supported South Vietnam in a bid to prevent the domino effect. The fear that one country fall to communism would trigger others. This culminated in the Vietnam War, a protracted and devastating conflict. So in the next slide, the internal challenges in China. So most domestic programs had far-reaching consequences. The Great Leap Forward in 1958 to 1962 attempted to rapidly industrialize China by organizing people into large communal farms and backyard steel furnaces. It failed disastrously, causing a massive famine with an eliminated 20 to 45 million deaths. Later, the Cultural Revolution 1966 to 1976 aimed to eliminate counter-revolutionary elements and revive revolutionary zeal. It led to widespread persecution, destruction of cultural heritage, and political chaos. In the next slide, the global implications. The spread of communism influenced UN's foreign policy through the Truman Doctrine and basis containment. The US supported regimes and rebel groups that opposed communism, sometimes backing authoritarian governments. The Cold War extended into Africa, Latin America, and the Middle East globally. Countries aligned with the US or the USSR, creating a bipolar world order with ideological, political, and military conflicts. So, in the next slide, the conclusion. The spread of communism wasn't only a political shift, but also forced transform economies, societies, and global alignments. It triggered wars, revolution, and long-term social change. Though communism did not become the global dominant system, its influence reshaped 20th century history. So understanding its spread helps contextualize many of today's global dynamics.